5 survival knots that could save your life. Most people think knot tying is complicated, something reserved for sailors, climbers, or hardcore survival experts. In reality, you only need a handful of foundational knots to handle almost every practical rope task in daily life and emergency situations. With just 5 core knots, you can build shelters, secure cargo, tie bundles, repair gear, and even perform rescues reliably under stress. Instead of trying to memorize dozens of complex configurations, mastering these few essential knots gives you a powerful, dependable skill set you can call on when it matters most. Before we get into the knots themselves, there are 3 simple rope terms you need to know so the directions make sense. The standing part is the main part of the rope that is inactive, long, and usually attached to your anchor or gear. The working end is the active, short end of the rope you are using to weave, loop, and tie the knot. The bight, or loop, is a simple fold or curved turn in the rope that creates a closed circle. Once you understand these 3 terms, you can follow the step-by-step instructions for each knot without confusion. The bowline is the first and most important knot to learn, known as the king of knots. It creates a fixed, secure loop at the end of a rope that will not slip or tighten under load. It is highly reliable for rescue operations, hoisting equipment, and securing boats, and it remains easy to untie even after holding immense weight. In everyday life, the bowline is perfect for hanging a tire swing, hoisting gear up a ladder, or mooring a boat to a dock. In survival situations, it becomes even more critical. Its non-collapsible loop can be lowered to pull someone out of a ditch or used to anchor a primary structural line to a tree. No matter how much tension is applied, the bowline never jams and can always be released once the load is removed. To tie the bowline, begin by forming the hole. Hold the rope vertically. About a foot from the end, twist the rope with your hand to make a small, closed loop. Make sure the part of the rope leading up to the top, the standing part, sits underneath the loop. Next, the rabbit emerges. Take the very tip of the rope, the working end, and poke it up through the hole from underneath. Then the rabbit goes around the tree. Pull the working end all the way through, then wrap it horizontally behind the long vertical section of the rope. Finally, the rabbit goes back down the hole. Bring the working end back around to the front and dive it back down into the exact same hole it came out of. To set the knot, hold the working end and the side of the main loop together with one hand. With your other hand, pull firmly on the standing part. The knot will snap tightly into place, creating a completely uncollapsible loop. The taut line hitch is the second essential knot, and it is a friction hitch that allows you to adjust the tension of a line without untying it. It creates an adjustable loop that slides freely to increase or decrease tension, but locks grippingly in place the moment weight or wind pulls against it. This makes it perfect for securing tent guy lines, tying down loads on a vehicle, or managing a dynamic survival tarp shelter. In everyday use, it is ideal for securing a dynamic load on a truck bed, or tying down items to a roof rack where you need to repeatedly tighten the rope. In survival use, it excels at staking out a camping tent, anchoring a tarp shelter, or tensioning guy lines against heavy winds. The ability to adjust tension on the fly makes it one of the most practical knots you can learn. To tie the taut line hitch, begin by wrapping the anchor. Pass the working end around your anchor post or stake from front to back, pulling about 18 inches of slack through. Then make the first internal wrap. Bring the working end over the top of the standing part, tuck it down underneath, and pull it back up through the inside of the loop you just created. Next, make the second internal wrap. Move further down inside that same loop, closer to the stake, and repeat the wrap, over the standing part, underneath, and up through. You now have 2 parallel wraps sitting neatly inside the loop. Then create the final lock. Take the working end and cross it completely over the outside of your main knot structure, further up the standing part away from the stake. Wrap it underneath the standing part and pull it up through the newly formed small loop. Finally, dress and slide the knot. Pull the working end tight to lock the friction wraps. You can now grab the knot with your fingers and slide it up or down the rope to increase or decrease line tension, like a guitar string slider. The clove hitch is the third foundational knot, and it is the fastest way to anchor a rope to a cylindrical object, such as a post, tree trunk, or rail. It is the foundation for pioneering and building shelters, especially for lashing branches together. It holds well under constant tension, but can slip if the tension slackens or varies wildly. In everyday use, it works well for temporarily securing a boat to a piling or starting a wrap to bundle yard debris. In survival use, it is indispensable for constructing stable structures using natural materials. It can be tied in under 2 seconds with one hand, making it perfect for quick anchoring and rapid shelter building. To tie the clove hitch, begin with the first wrap. Throw the working end over the log or post from front to back, letting it hang down the far side. Then cross to make an X. Reach under the log, grab that end, bring it back up to the front, and cross it completely over the first wrap to create a clear X shape on top of the log. Next, make the second wrap. Pass the working end over the log one more time to the back, keeping it to the side of your X. Then tuck under the bar. Reach behind the log, bring the end back up to the front, and slide it directly underneath the top diagonal bar of your X crossing. Finally, tighten it up. Pull firmly on both the working end and the standing part in opposite directions. The two ropes will trap each other against the wood. Make sure both loose ends emerge from the center of the knot, pointing away from each other. The figure 8 knot is the fourth essential knot, and it is a clean, highly secure stopper knot tied at the end of a line. It prevents the rope from slipping through a pulley, grommet, or anchor hole, and it is significantly easier to undo than a standard overhand knot after being jammed tight. It increases the thickness at the very tip of a rope to prevent it from slipping through a hole, gap, or pulley system. In everyday use, it is excellent for tying the ends of sail lines, dog leashes, or window sash cords so they don't pull through their tracks. In survival use, it is useful for anchoring a climbing line or ensuring a utility cord does not pull through the grommet of an emergency shelter tarp. It is much bulkier and significantly easier to untie after a heavy load than a standard overhand knot. To tie the figure 8, begin by making a loop. Take the working end of the rope and cross it over the top of the standing part to form a clean circle. Then go behind. Instead of tucking it straight in, wrap the working end completely around the back of the standing part. Next, look for the figure 8. Bring the working end back around to the front. You will see the rope naturally twist into the clear shape of a number 8. Then tuck through the top. Poke the working end straight down through the top loop of the number 8 from front to back. Finally, pull secure. Hold the working end and pull the standing part in opposite directions. The knot will compress into a clean, bulky figure 8 block that is highly resistant to jamming under load. The sheet bend is the fifth and final foundational knot, and it is used to safely join two ropes together, especially when they are different thicknesses. It is perfect for extending a rescue line, repairing a broken shoelace, or fusing makeshift cordage like strips of clothing or tarp material to a standard rope. While most knots slip when joining ropes of different sizes or materials, the sheet bend is structurally designed to jam them together safely under tension without slipping. To tie the sheet bend, begin by making the bight with rope A, the thicker rope. Fold it over on itself to create a clean, open U shape. Hold this bight firmly in your left hand. Next, come up through with rope B, the thinner rope. Take the working end in your right hand and poke it straight up through the middle of the U-bight from underneath. Then wrap around the base. Pull about 8 inches of the thin rope through, and wrap it completely around the back of both thick strands of the U-bight. After that, tuck under itself. Bring the thin working end back around to the front. Instead of pushing it back down the hole, tuck it horizontally underneath its own thin body strand, trapping it against the thick rope structure. Finally, lock the bend. Hold the 2 thick ends of rope A in one hand and pull the long end of thin rope B with the other. The thin rope will clamp tightly down onto the thick loop, fusing them together perfectly. Alongside these 5 knots, many people are taught the classic square knot, or reef knot, for everyday use. It is a simple binding knot used to join 2 ropes of equal thickness together. It is great for bundling firewood, tying packages, or securing bandages in first aid scenarios. However, there is a critical safety warning. Never use a square knot for survival or weight-bearing loads. If the 2 ropes are slightly different sizes or slick, the square knot can easily capsize under tension, causing it to slip apart completely. For joining ropes securely, especially in survival situations, you should always use the sheet bend instead. When you put all of these knots together, the Bowline, the Taut Line Hitch, the Clove Hitch, the figure 8, and the sheet bend You build a highly reliable, practical knot tying skill set for both daily life and emergency survival. You can secure cargo, build emergency shelters, tie bundles, and perform rescues reliably under stress. You only need to master these 5 foundational knots. Instead of trying to memorize dozens of complex configurations, learning these core utilities allows you to work confidently with rope in almost any situation. By mastering these 5 knots, you give yourself a compact but powerful survival toolkit you can carry in your memory. Each knot has a clear purpose: fixed loops, adjustable tension, fast anchors, secure stoppers, and safe rope joins. Together, they let you build, secure, repair, and rescue with confidence. Practice them until your hands remember the motions, and when the moment comes, whether it's a simple backyard project or a true emergency, you'll have the skills to act quickly and safely. Thank you so much for watching. If this guide helped you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who might need these skills, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Your support helps the channel grow and allows me to keep creating practical, life-saving content just like this. If you want, next step, I can tune this for your speaking cadence or break it into scene segments without changing any of the content.